Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Saturn Slam Review Important News Bulletin. We've never done this before, but never before has just a 2-week period drudged up so much shit.
Yeah, this is drama days out here. Not since the Friday Night Wars
let
has there
me
been such action.
let me put this in perspective to y'all. When we planned on doing this video at the start of today, a whole thing we're going to talk about hadn't happened yet.
This was a quickly evolving story. This was faster than evolution.
That's why this whole week is so crazy. First, let's start off with what is a little bit or more of old news. With the Black Wednesday cutting of, like, I don't know, good like 20% of the WWE roster.
The fucking Vince McMahon was just like,
yeah,
gone.
So bad enough that all this shit happens, but there's more to the story, and the more it's like an onion. The more layers you peel back, the more it stinks.
And the more I cry.
Yeah. So,
well, maybe in some cases, maybe not.
WWE has released Kurt Angle, who I was unaware was still under a talent contract. I know he'd been working as a producer. Rusev, who probably, would have liked his release, but, not in the middle of a global pandemic.
Yeah.
When he can't really get bookings. Sorry about my mouse.
Yeah, it is the important, like the notable part of this as we go through, as we're listening to the names, is even the ones that are famous, the ones that you recognize, you're like, yeah, he's a big timer. Why is he like, he'll be fine? Even all the superstars, it's not an incredible amount of wealth unless you're like the top boy. If you're like Roman Reigns, The Rock, and John Cena. That's the big bucks.
That's
These guys are making a fair amount of wealth for sure, but they are by no means like, not having a job is gonna be a fucking issue.
They're not like major league sports stars. They're not paid, millions of dollars in contracts. Like, it's not like a football player who, or I guess baseball player's better example, who signs a fully guaranteed contract for like $300 million.
So they're free floating right now,
and to that point, you might hear a couple of these names and be like, "Oh yeah, AEW, like a Rusev, AEW is going to snatch them right up." AEW might find themselves in a position where they need to release talent rather than add it. We don't know what their financial situation is, but they're losing live event attendance, which was one of their big money makers, because they can't run shows.
Right. Yeah, this is, and even we'll talk about a couple more names here, and just that what was my fucking point? Yes, even if they could snatch everyone up, that might not even be a good move, because you got to build up the brand first. If you pull in 10 guys, 10, 15 talent members, you got to start booking them. You got to start paying them. You got to start fitting them into the system. This is why WWE has 3 stables. Like, it has 3 shows to split all its talent across. Yeah. AEW, I don't think could handle that capacity yet. But
yeah. Drake Maverick, who, the poor guy, they're like stringing this motherfucker along. So they released him, but they're allowing him to work his final 3 dates as part of the interim Cruiserweight Championship tournament on NXT. So he's going to wrestle his 3 matches, and they had him on their YouTube show, The Bump, like yesterday morning, and it's like, what the fuck are you doing to this guy? Why are you making him go on your fucking YouTube show after you fired him?
Unpaid intern hours out here. Like, God.
Well, I hope they're paying him for those dates. Carl Anderson and Luke
Anderson and
Gallows.
Gallows. Yep.
I'm sure AJ Styles was not very happy about that. He like went on a bit of a tirade on his Mixer account.
Yeah. That was right after. That's funny. Right after the Boneyard match, he's back on his Mixer.
Kayfabe is alive and well.
Yeah.
So those like Gallows and Anderson, they're probably one of the two. I know Rusev's probably going to wind up in AEW eventually. Maybe Gallows and Anderson go there. They certainly know people there, but my money would probably be more towards them going back to Japan, unless they want to stay stateside. I know that was the reason they came over. I don't know if that will be reason enough to stay.
It really is interesting how high up some of these names are, like Rowan and Leo Rush. Leo Rush being the cruiserweight champion for a bit, right?
And fairly recently too. Yeah, like that was one that really surprised me. Eric Young never really was given a chance. Sanity, after they got called up to the main roster, they were deader than a doornail. EC3. Speaking of people who never got a chance.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know whose coffee he peed in or whose car he scratched, but they had a vendetta against EC3 and he got fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Kurt
no
Hawkins.
Way, Jose.
Yeah, no way Jose. Who? I remember the Halcyon days. Yeah, Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. Kurt Hawkins fired again. His wife is expecting. And
it's the kind of thing that drives a man to hurt someone with a crutch at a takeover.
Yeah. Yeah. Zack Ryder, I thought he was in there for life, man. I was not expecting him to get cut. But you know what? If he saved his money, I'm sure he can retire. Like, he was 14 years Zack Ryder wrestled for WWE. And at one point, he was one of their top merch sellers.
It's amazing. It's amazing to think where they. And of course, who could forget Cassius Ohno?
Yeah, Cassius Ohno released. He'll somehow find his way back into a feud with an incoming NXT talent. What if he comes back to NXT and then he has to feud with himself?
I want this.
It's Gemini Man, Cassius Ohno. Heath Slater, another guy who'd been there for forever. They cut him. I guess WWE no longer cares about his kids. Aiden English. So the last domino of the vaudevillains has fallen.
He was. They gave him the cane.
Yeah, he was. They weren't really using him in the ring much anymore. He was on commentary. He was okay at that. Now that he's out and about, I wonder if he and Simon Grimm will reform that act on the Independents once the Independents open.
Sure. I'd like to see it.
Sarah Logan, gone.
Yep.
Mike Chioda, the longest tenured referee in WWE. Referee for many classic matches. 18 years he'd been there. Gone.
Couldn't even give him the... I don't know, what's the 20th anniversary? It's not silver. Let me...
Primo and Epico Cologne, who I was more surprised to learn that they were in fact still employed by WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Until that point. Eric Rowan, who just had that big that angle they spent so much time on and paid off with a stupid animatronic spider that got killed the next week. A lot of TV time. He's out and about now. When Peter told me that Rowan was released, I said hashtag join darkorder.com.
It would be perfect.
I would not be surprised at some point, but like we said before, we don't know what AEW's hiring budget's going to be like. They don't want to snatch up too many ex-WWE guys because they don't want to be the place where all these ex-WWE guys are.
Mm-hmm.
Mike and Maria Kanellis, gone. We talked about Zack Ryder, No Way Jose. But yeah, a lot of people. And then there were some more behind-the-scenes people let go. Lance Storm and a few other agents got fired. Lance Storm particularly sucks because he'd only been there 4 months and he closed his wrestling school
to
take the job.
Yikes. Well,
and the Storm Wrestling Academy has turned out some top-notch talent.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if he's got the rep and he's back out on the street, I'm sure he can make it. He can build it back up again. Really unfortunate turn of fate.
Yeah. And also the writer who had at least a hand in writing the Mandy Otis storyline got shit canned.
Good job, boys.
So, like, the one writer who wrote the, like, one story anyone ever cared about all year is the one that's fired. Meritocracy
he wrote
at
his own
its
story.
finest.
That's all.
Yeah.
That's how Vince thinks it works. You write a story and then you're done. It's like a battery. You run out.
You made this. I made this. Yeah, and now, as much as all that sucks, we've come into some shit here, folks.
Yeah. Over the course of one day, we have just waded neck deep into the weeds here.
So
what started as just a bombshell post just dropped on Reddit has evolved into probably some allegations, some legal investigations, some high drama with authorities.
yeah,
And that is
Velveteen Dream has been accused of soliciting minors for sexual favors. There was I don't know if it was a Snapchat,
some variety of social media device,
some messenger app. He was talking to a girl and asked, "What school do you go to?" Which, not necessarily like a child thing. That's more like common in college age kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like that terminology.
There's, we'll say a couple things here. I think, as we've established a few other times, regardless of the outcome, our stance at this point on these sorts of things is let's let the investigation or whatever their action is run its course. There's a lot of stuff that you can take a lot of different ways. There's a lot of explanations people have thrown up. I mean, the odds are steep. It just sort of, if you look at the evidence, it's disheartening to say the least. But it's not definitive until,
Yes, it looks rather damning, but we have seen deep fakes like this before in the sports world. I know, Peter, you don't really follow too many other sports, but in basketball, there was a player called Dwight Howard who was accused of liking uh, sexing with transgender escorts, and one such escort claimed that to keep this information quiet, Howard had physically assaulted and threatened her. Um, and she had like audio to prove it, but that was all like doctored audio. Like it was pretty. It took a long time for that to get sorted out. So
Mhm.
while it's certainly the odds are quite long, but
Yeah.
there's precedent for something like that to happen.
Hmm.
Um,
And I'm certain that no one would want this to be true. I don't think I mean,
no,
I would certainly hate for it to be true.
it would really
Velveteen Dream
suck.
is on a big push. He's a charismatic guy who's a hero to a lot of fans.
Yeah,
He had a lot of potential,
yeah.
and
If
even if he gets out of this technically scot free,
I I
it's
have
gonna
a
be a
hard
scar on his
time.
career.
Yeah, I have a hard time believing that he'll be employed by the end of the week. And if he is, the push is gone. He's going
Yeah.
to get beat by Adam Cole. I don't even know if they're going to let him go out and have a good match. And then
Don't
he's going to
know.
be a comedy jobber for the rest of his days until he gets out of that
Yep.
contract. If it is true, you know,
He'll be
definitely,
facing worse.
definitely worse things than being a comedy jobber in this world. Jail time would be one of them. I don't know. I think historically cases like these are fairly difficult to get to stick criminally because there's a lot of ways to sow reasonable doubt in a jury in a case
Hmm.
like this. But it wouldn't. That's some shit that'll get you blackballed in the wrestling industry for the most part.
See Enzo.
Yeah, and that was just accusations. There was no material proof to that, so it kind of went away. But here we have some material. I don't want to call it proof, but material.
Hmm.
There's a paper trail, if you will.
Yeah.
It wasn't the
It's
only kind of trail.
I have a feeling that the next, I want to say, if we're going to time this out, I'd say the next 3 or 4 days, shit's going to come out. There's going to be a lot of hype on this. It's going to plateau for a little while, and then whatever has been churning and fermenting will come out, and there will be another flurry of revelations.
Yeah. So, it sucks. He's a young guy, 24 years old, bright future ahead of him, very over, especially with African American fans. Um, could have been a role model to a lot of uh, kids. It just, it sucks. Like
Yep.
if this is true, and even if it's not true, there's a good chance that this is functionally the end of his career. You know, it's it's not a pleasant situation, and that's a very selfish take on it because there's obviously greater things at stake than our precious wrestling.
Mhm. It's in a word, I would say for everyone involved, everyone is feeling some flavor of disappointment.
Yeah, uh, certainly very poor optics. Now, again, we want to reiterate that at this point in time, nothing's concrete, nothing's definitive. We're not going to presume guilt or innocence until all the facts are laid bare and
Mhm.
we can
Yep.
go from there.
Classic stance. Follow it now. Um, what the fuck was I gonna say? I don't know.
I don't
It's
know,
just
man.
this is day one. That's what I was gonna say. We're just on day one. This
Yeah.
just went caught like wildfire. And again, I'll also say we said at the beginning. I'll say it again here. The timing is also terrible on this.
Yeah,
These
like
are the kind of things that will stick with people. Do we have the ratings for last week's show? The two ratings.
let's see. What was last Wednesday?
It was the 22nd, so -7. Oh, yeah, it was the 22nd. Yeah, what am I talking about?
Let's see. 422 rating. The AEW Dynamite beats NXT after 2-week losing streak. So, I think seven. No, it's Dynamite. NXT drew 665,000.
Okay.
That was this week for 420.
Alrighty.
Yeah. AEW 731,000.
So kind of middling.
Yeah, well, numbers have been down steadily.
Right. And I guess that's the point I'm trying to make, is that we are in a place where people are not as many people are actively watching the wrestling. So the when wrestling comes, when they hear wrestling, it's not gonna be because of what was on TV last week. It's gonna be because of drama and scandal.
Yeah, which
are coming down on WWE, which just
shit, I forgot to even mention the other part of these releases. So it just so happened that the day WWE is a publicly traded company, did this to save operating expenses and meet their forecasted projections. And there was a coincidence of timing in Florida where WWE was declared an essential business by the governor right after $18.5 million from Linda McMahon's super PAC found its way into his campaign fund. So
this is like right now, these 20 minutes are going to be 3 to 5 chapters of whatever audiobook comes out in 2040.
Yeah, if the
did the Digicast,
the Wednesday Night War
old Ricochet book. Reads the Digicast, the Wednesday Night Wars.
Yeah, like when Brian Alvarez, 89-year-old Brian Alvarez, finishes his fucking book on the Wednesday Night Wars, this will be a widely covered section. But as it will in like any real history book, I think everything that happens during this once in a century sort of event.
Yeah. It's all big time. All big news.
All right. Well,
and we're here for it. We'll be here for it.
We will. More news on this as it develops. Probably. I won't guarantee we'll make another video, but there will be more news.
Yeah, we're not gonna little diarrhea turd every little tidbit. We're not dressing up every nugget that comes out here. But when shit goes down, we will be here. That's my motto for this. The Saturn Slam emergency broadcast. When shit goes down, we'll show up.
We're here with shovels. We'll shovel that shit. All right. Please stay safe. Do your part. Stay inside. Watch